As we journey through life, the years bring a wealth of experiences, stories, and wisdom that shape who we are. For American seniors, this stage of life is a unique opportunity to reflect on the past while embracing the present and future. However, certain habits, often formed with the best intentions, can quietly undermine relationships and personal growth. These behaviors, subtle and unintentional, may create distance between us and the people we care about, or even limit our own potential to thrive. This article explores 7 common habits that many seniors carry, not to point fingers or assign blame, but to offer a gentle, honest light on how these patterns can affect our connections and sense of self. By recognizing these habits and making small, deliberate changes, we can foster stronger relationships, rediscover joy, and continue growing with grace and confidence. The goal is not perfection, but awareness, and with awareness comes the power to choose a path that enriches our lives and those around us. The first habit to consider is the tendency to measure the present against the past. Nostalgia is a powerful force, especially for those who have lived through decades of change. The music of the 1950s, the simplicity of a time when a gallon of gas cost pennies, the sense of community in small towns, these memories hold a special place in our hearts. They remind us of who we were and the world we helped build. But when every conversation turns to how things used to be, it can create an invisible barrier. Imagine sitting with your grandson as he excitedly shares a new hobby, like creating digital art on a tablet. Before he finishes, you find yourself saying, "Back in my day, we didn't need fancy gadgets to be creative." It's a reflex, meant to share your perspective, but to him it might feel like a dismissal of his world. Over time, these comparisons can make others feel unheard, as if their experiences are less valid because they don't match the good old days. Younger generations in particular may stop sharing their passions, fearing they'll be judged for living in a different era. Even peers, who share your memories, might grow weary of hearing the same stories repeated, longing instead for conversations about the present. The past is a treasure, but when it becomes the only lens through which we view life, it can disconnect us from the people standing in front of us. Instead, try meeting others where they are. If your daughter mentions a new trend, like plant-based cooking, resist the urge to say, "We never needed that in the 70s. Ask her what she loves about it. Let her enthusiasm spark your curiosity. By doing so, you not only keep the conversation alive, but also show that you value her world. Nostalgia can be a bridge. Use it to share stories that invite connection, not to build walls that shut others out. This small shift can transform how others experience you, making them feel seen and valued, and it allows you to stay engaged with the richness of the present. Another habit that can quietly strain relationships is the tendency to focus too much on health challenges. As we age, physical changes are inevitable. Aches, doctor's visits, and new medications become part of life. And it's natural to want to share these realities with those we trust. But when health becomes the centerpiece of every conversation, it can unintentionally push people away. Picture yourself at a family gathering, catching up with your niece. You mention your recent knee pain, then the side effects of a new prescription, and soon the conversation is entirely about what's hurting. Your niece listens politely, but she may feel overwhelmed or unsure how to respond. Over time, if every interaction revolves around ailments, loved ones might begin to distance themselves, not out of indifference, but because they feel helpless or emotionally drained. This isn't about hiding your struggles. Your health matters, and those who care about you want to know what you're going through. The key is balance. When health dominates, it can overshadow the other parts of who you are, your humor, your wisdom, your curiosity. You are more than your symptoms. And the people in your life want to connect with the fullness of you, not just your medical updates. Consider Alice, an 80-year-old from Ohio, who noticed her conversations with her son always ended on a heavy note. She realized she hadn't asked about his life in months. Her arthritis and doctor's appointments had taken center stage. One day she made a conscious choice to start their next call by asking about his new job. The conversation flowed differently, lighter, warmer, and she felt a spark of joy she hadn't in a while. Sharing your challenges is important, but so is making space for laughter, stories, and the lives of others. Next time you're tempted to dive into a health update, pause and ask yourself, is this the moment to share this? Or can I offer something else? A question, a memory, or even a joke can open the door to a richer exchange. By weaving your health into a broader tapestry of conversation, you invite others to see you as a whole person, and you create space for mutual connection. The phrase "I already know" is another habit that can quietly close doors. After a lifetime of learning and experience, it's natural to feel confident in what you know. You've raised families, built careers, and navigated a world that's changed in countless ways. But when someone shares an idea or story and your first response is, "I already know that," it can stop the conversation in its tracks. It's not about whether you've heard something before, it's about what your response signals to the other person. Especially someone younger, it might feel like their voice doesn't matter. Imagine your neighbor telling you about a new community project. Before she finishes, you say, "Oh, I know all about that. We did something similar in the 80s. You might mean to show you're still sharp, but she hears, "Your excitement isn't worth my time." Over time, people may stop sharing, not because they don't value you, but because they feel dismissed. Curiosity is the antidote. Even if something feels familiar, there's always a new angle to explore. Take Sam, a 76-year-old from Texas, who used to brush off his granddaughter's stories about school projects. One day, instead of saying, "I know how that works," he asked, "What's the best part of it for you?" That question led to an hour-long conversation that deepened their bond. You don't have to pretend you're hearing something for the first time, but you can show interest in the person sharing it. Phrases like, "That's interesting," "Tell me more," or "What made you think of that?" Invite others to open up. They show that you value their perspective, not just your own knowledge. Conversation is a dance, not a lecture, and the most meaningful connections happen when both people feel heard. By staying open, you not only strengthen your relationships, but also keep your mind flexible and engaged, a gift that grows more valuable with age. For many seniors, dismissing new ideas or technology is a habit that feels like second nature. The world moves fast. Smartphones, apps, self-checkout machines, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed or left behind. When your grandson shows you a new social media platform, your instinct might be to say, "I don't need that. I've done fine without it." On the surface, it feels like standing your ground, but over time, this reflex can isolate you. Technology isn't just about gadgets. It's how people connect today. If you opt out of learning, you might miss group chats with family, online events with friends, or even simple tools that make life easier, like video calls to see your great-grandchildren across the country. This isn't about becoming a tech expert. It's about staying open to the world around you. Consider Linda, a 72-year-old from California, who scoffed when her son gave her a tablet. "What would I do with this?" she thought. But she tried it, starting with reading the news online. Soon she was video chatting with old friends and watching classic movies with subtitles. "I didn't know how much I was missing," she said. The choice to say, "Show me," instead of "I'm too old for that," didn't just connect her to others, it boosted her confidence and sense of independence. Studies show that seniors who embrace new skills, even small ones, maintain sharper minds and better moods. This habit isn't just about technology, it's about mindset. When you dismiss change, you risk shrinking your world, but when you approach it with curiosity, you expand your possibilities. Next time you encounter something new, whether it's an app or a different way of thinking, pause and ask, "What could this add to my life?" You don't have to love every change, but by staying open, you show others, especially younger generations, that you're still growing, still engaged, and still part of their world. Oversharing personal details, especially with people you've just met, is another habit that can create unintended distance. For many American seniors, striking up conversations with strangers feels natural, a nod to a time when small talk built community. But in today's fast-paced world, sharing too much too soon, like your medical history or family struggles, can overwhelm others. Imagine chatting with someone at the grocery store, and within minutes, mentioning your recent surgery and a falling out with your cousin. You might be craving connection, especially if you felt lonely, but the other person may feel caught off guard, unsure how to respond. This doesn't mean your stories aren't important. It's about timing and context. Healthy relationships grow through balance, not emotional overload. Take Tom, a 74-year-old from Florida, who often shared deeply personal details with new acquaintances. He didn't realize it was pushing people away until a friend gently pointed out that he seemed to unload too quickly. Tom started small, asking questions, sharing lighter stories, and found people were more eager to connect. Oversharing often stems from a desire to be seen, But when you share thoughtfully, your words carry more weight. Next time you meet someone new, start with a question or a simple observation. Let the conversation unfold naturally, building trust over time. This approach not only respects others' boundaries, but also shows emotional intelligence, a quality that draws people closer and makes your connections more meaningful. The habit of dominating conversations with long, uninterrupted stories is another pattern that can dim the spark of connection. Storytelling is a gift of age. You've lived through moments that younger generations can only imagine, from the moon landing to the civil rights movement. But when a story stretches on, or one memory leads to another without pause, it can leave others feeling like spectators rather than participants. Picture yourself at a family dinner, sharing a tale from your days as a teacher. 10 minutes pass, then 15, and no one else has spoken. The smiles are polite, but the energy shifts. People check their phones or glance away. It's not that your experiences aren't valuable. It's that connection thrives on exchange. When one person holds the floor, others, especially younger people, may hesitate to interrupt out of respect, but they quietly disengage. Barbara, the 78-year-old from New York, loved recounting her nursing career, but her family started dreading her long monologues. Her son finally said, "Mom, I love your stories, but I miss talking with you." That feedback prompted Barbara to ask more questions and listen for cues. Her stories became shorter, more focused, and her conversations grew richer. The key is to watch for signs, shifting body language, fading eye contact, and leave space for others to contribute. A well-timed pause can invite someone else to share, turning a monologue into a dialogue. Your stories are a treasure, but their power lies in how they connect, not how long they last. By balancing speaking and listening, you create conversations that feel alive and mutual, drawing others closer instead of pushing them away. Finally, the habit of judging others too quickly based on their appearance or choices can create walls where bridges could stand. It's a subtle reflex. A young man with tattoos walks by, and you think, "Why would he do that to himself?" Or a friend mentions she's dating again at 60, and you raise an eyebrow. These judgments often stem from the values we grew up with, standards of dress, behavior, or lifestyle that feel familiar and right. But when we let these snap judgments shape how we interact, we risk alienating the very people we want to connect with. Your granddaughter might stop visiting if she feels you disapprove of her colorful hair or career path. Your neighbor might keep his distance if your comments about his political views feel sharp. Judging others doesn't just push them away. It limits your own ability to learn and grow. Richard, an 81-year-old from Michigan, felt his grandson pulling away. When the boy finally said, "You always comment on my clothes. I don't feel like myself around you." Richard listened. He started asking questions instead of critiquing, and their next visit was filled with laughter. Curiosity is the antidote to judgment. Instead of assuming someone's choices are wrong, ask, "What's the story behind that?" You don't have to agree with every lifestyle, but by offering warmth and openness, you create space for genuine connection. Wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about staying open to new perspectives. When you lead with kindness, instead of criticism, you build relationships that are safe, joyful, and real. As we reflect on these habits, the invitation is not to feel shame or regret, but to embrace the power of choice. Each of these patterns, comparing to the past, over-focusing on health, dismissing others' ideas, oversharing, dominating conversations, or judging too quickly, stems from a natural human desire to connect, to be heard, to stay rooted. But with awareness, we can choose differently. Pick one habit to notice this week. When you catch yourself slipping into it, pause, breathe, and try something new. Ask a question instead of making a comparison. Listen before sharing a story. Offer curiosity instead of judgment. These small acts, repeated over time, rewrite old patterns and create space for deeper, more meaningful connections. Aging is not about standing still. It's about evolving with intention. By letting go of habits that no longer serve us, we reclaim our influence and show the world that growing older means growing wiser, kinder, and more connected. The relationships you nurture and the growth you embrace today are the legacy you leave for tomorrow. Let them be filled with grace, openness, and the beauty of a life still unfolding. This journey of self-awareness is a lifelong pursuit, one that requires courage and humility. The habits we've explored are not unique to seniors. They're human tendencies that can emerge at any age. But for those in their later years, the stakes feel higher. The relationships we cherish, whether with family, friends, or new acquaintances, are the threads that weave meaning into our days. The growth we pursue, whether through learning a new skill or softening an old reflex, is the spark that keeps us vibrant. American seniors have a unique opportunity to lead by example, to show younger generations that age is not a barrier to change, but a platform for wisdom. By addressing these habits, we not only strengthen our connections, but also redefine what it means to age well. We become the grandparents who listen, the friends who inspire, the neighbors who welcome. We become the kind of elders who leave a legacy, not just of stories, but of presence, empathy, and growth. The beauty of this process is that it's never too late to begin. Whether you're 65 or 95, every day offers a chance to choose differently. Start small. Notice when you compare the present to the past, and instead of saying things were better before, ask someone what they love about today. When you're tempted to list your aches and pains, share a funny memory instead. When a new idea or gadget feels daunting, say, "Show me how it works," and let yourself be surprised. When you meet someone new, hold back the urge to share your life story and ask about theirs. When a conversation starts to feel one-sided, pause and listen. When you catch yourself judging, replace that thought with a question. These choices are not about erasing who you are. They're about revealing the best of who you can be. They're about showing the world and yourself that growth is a lifelong adventure, one that gets richer with every step. As you move forward, remember that change is not about perfection. You'll slip into old habits sometimes, and that's okay. What matters is the willingness to notice, to try again, to keep growing. The people in your life will notice too. They'll feel the warmth of your curiosity, the respect of your listening, the openness of your heart. They'll see you not just as someone with a lifetime of stories, but as someone who's still writing new ones. And in those moments of connection, you'll find a joy that transcends age, a reminder that life, at any stage, is a gift to be shared. So take this week as an opportunity. Pick one habit, one small shift, and watch how it ripples through your relationships and your sense of self. You have the wisdom, the strength, and the heart to make a difference. Let it start today.